Ladies and gentlemen, talk about a switcheroo. I bet everybody thought today was going to be a very bearish day. According to GameStop's earnings last night, it didn't look very promising. But what happened today? AMC up about 3.5%. We have 2 minutes left until market trading is over. GameStop up over 3.2%. So actually AMC doing a little bit better than GameStop today, which is quite phenomenal. We have a lot to get into, so I don't want to waste any time. We're going to try to keep this video short and sweet, straight to the point. So if you guys like that, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Get yourself those free stocks, links down below in the description, and come join the trading community if you have not already. Come check it out. We called out Mullen Automotives before anybody made a single YouTube video about it, and that's just one to call out, one out of many trades. Now, nonetheless, let's get into what exactly is going on today, what the news is, and why the markets are rallying. So, as we went over in the last video, today is a quad witching day. So, that is when stock index futures, stock index options, stock options, and single stock futures expire simultaneously. And if we take a step back in history, back January 21st, we had a quad witching for March that was $1.2 trillion for today. And since January, that has grown from 1.2 trillion to 3.5 trillion. That's essentially much more than the value of Apple. And 3.5 trillion is more money than about 98% of countries' actual whole worth. So it's a lot of money, and it does move the markets a lot, especially today. The people that are on winning and losing sides of these trades, they're forced to either say, if you bought a call, exercise that call, buy your stock, or if you sold a put, then you're forced to either get out of that, take the loss, or you will have to buy that stock as well at the given prices. And that's causing a lot of bullish activity today because you're seeing a lot of people obviously getting burned and having to be assigned on these options. So you're going to free up a lot of money, and that's what is happening today as well. And that will likely continue next week. You're going to see $3.5 trillion of money that is now available to roll over into new options or to just buy the stock. You're going to see a lot of bullish activity next week, in my personal opinion. And that's really the major market mover today. And besides that, we really didn't get any news that was really bad today. Didn't get anything too crazy. A couple headlines out of Russia and Ukraine, some good, some bad. This one that I talked about earlier that is kind of spooky. It says China planned Taiwan invasion in fall, alleged Russian intel leak claims. That's an interesting one. But overall, China, Biden, they talked for 2 hours today. And there was a lot of bullish things that were said. China, America says they need to respect each other. They need to work together to try to end this problem between Russia and Ukraine. A lot of steps in the right direction as far as that is concerned. You're certainly not getting any word as of right now about China defending Russia or anything like that that could cause the markets to sell off. So really today was this big 3.5 trillion option expiration day, as well as a lack of bad news, because the markets, they are forward looking, but they are very near term looking at the same time. Meaning if you get bad news today, markets will likely sell off. If you have no news the next day, the likeliness of a rally is very strong. If the situation does not continue to develop each and every single day, you will tend to see these bullish rallies in between. Now, I still think the longer term trend of our markets right now is to go down, especially once we get into earnings season and once you start to see these companies' numbers, which aren't going to be as good as a lot of people expect. That's when I think the markets will head downwards, and you do see the first round of earnings coming out next week with some companies. We'll get you guys the list of companies later on throughout the weekend once that is actually finalized, once it is put together, once I have some time for that. But nonetheless, getting into the earnings season, $3.5 trillion of money that is now available to be traded, a lack of bad news, and you will get this kind of rally. And some stocks seen it more than others. AMC, considering the move you've seen in after hours from GameStop yesterday, I think this is a very good sign. And usually when you do see earnings that end up to be a bullish reaction, you will tend to see the continuation effect really take hold, and you will see a continued rally. Mullen Automotives, they did very well today, actually doing very well still here in after hours. So a lot of things did phenomenal, and I think this is likely to continue next week as long as we don't see any bad news coming over the weekend, which is very possible. I wouldn't hold my breath. I wouldn't have too many expectations. But we kind of got clarity from the Fed. Okay, you guys can buy the dip right now, sell in May and go away. Like I said, it's not going to be the last time you guys hear that. But that's the general concept of how investors are feeling right now. I'm very excited to see Monday because it's been a very long time since you had $3.5 trillion of money get locked up and then basically become available to trade again, especially with all of this volatility. You're going to pick a direction. You're going to pick a bullish direction or a bearish direction, and you're going to feel that brunt of that volatility in either direction. It looks to be to the bullish side, though. Now, let's get into some of the data that you guys need to know around AMC stock. And for the short interest, 21.2% short interest of free float, 109.22 million shares that are sold short, cost to borrow max of 2.32%, and the utilization is 100%. Days to cover is sitting at 2.92, so not too much has actually changed here. Very little return shares or borrowed shares activity, and that's likely to be the case. You know, shorts, they don't want to just slowly cover. They don't want to take their gain and get out. They want to see the stock go to zero, or they want to get squeezed out of their positions. And that's exactly what is going to happen. We closed above $15 per share, which is more important than a lot of people do realize. There was a lot of options at the $15 price that did expire in the money on the call side and out of the money on the put side. And that's the biggest strike we had was $15. We closed above that. That means you're going to see, or likely to see, a lot more stability around $15 and likely to see that rally continue next week well above 15 into the 16, 17, or $18 range, possibly higher than that, depending on what happens with all of this $3.5 trillion. But as far as the option activity, you're looking at a positive order value of 45%, 27 orders totaling $5.33 million. Lots of puts that are coming in today, believe it or not. You're seeing a lot of artificial shorting activity that is trying to take hold in the stock, but that is not necessarily doing all too much. I think it helped hold the stock down just a little bit today, but you're still seeing the bulls prevail in the end, and we are not fucking leaving, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to stay no matter how long it takes. If you're getting impatient, buy another stock. Don't sit here and wait and beat yourself up because of it. I think that'll help you guys definitely hold on to your positions if that's something that you also wanted to do. Now, let's get into the max pain. So the max pain for next week, I actually got to go ahead and pull that up. Max pain for next week is going to be, for March 25th, $15.50 per share. That's roughly where we are at right now. And we were just slightly under the max pain for today, which was $16.50 per share. Seeing some resistance around 16, but it was still a very bullish day nonetheless. So watch that level for next week. As far as really what to be expecting, we'll take a look at the economic data that will be coming out next week as well. In just 1 second on that, we'll have to pull that up. Don't know exactly why it's doing it like that, but for next week, Monday, you do have Treasury auctions, Fed Bostic that does speak at 7 a.m. That's going to be a very important one. The Fed also did speak today on that note, and he said that we probably need to get rates in between 3 and 4% to see inflation coming down, but they still don't think that we're going into a recession. So that was a bit of bad news, but also a bit of good news. Anytime the Fed says they don't see a recession coming, that's always going to be good news for the markets. You do see ECB President Lagarde's speech, and that's the European Central Bank, and that's actually very important for our markets because what happens in Europe, what happens around the world affects us as well. And then you had Fed Williams that does speak at 9:30 a.m. That is all on Tuesday. API Crude Oil Stock Exchange for March 18th. That's at 3:30 p.m. as well. And then you do have for Wednesday a lot more oil data that is coming out. All of this is oil data. And then you do have new home sales for February. That is also very important. It says Fed Chair Powell's speech at 7 a.m. and that is March 23rd. I didn't know Powell speaks next week, but I guess so. That's going to be very interesting. We'll just have to wait and see a confirmation on that. I'm not sure exactly if he's speaking to Congress or whatnot. Haven't heard anything on that, but that's what it says. As far as 10:45 a.m., Fed Daly speech, and that's another voting member of the Fed, so that's going to also be very important. As far as Thursday, durable goods orders month over month, initial jobless claims and current account for Q4, continuing jobless claims, all of that pretty important at around 7:30 a.m. Fed Waller that speaks as well on Thursday, Fed Evans, Fed Bostic, a lot of Fed speakers, a lot of data that is coming out next week across the board, but I believe all of the Fed speakers do speak next week. And then this one's very important. Shout out to Michigan, but it says Michigan Consumer Sentiment Final for March. That's a very important survey. Historically, it's been one that is very important that market participants pay very close attention to. That comes out at 9 a.m. on Friday. Fed Williams speaks at 9 a.m. as well on Friday. Pending home sales month over month and year over year at 9 as well. And then Michigan 5-year inflation expectations. That comes out at 9 a.m. as well. A couple other things, more Fed speakers, they all speak next week, and that's going to be the most important thing. I do also want to keep you guys, updated, just in general about where we currently sit as far as movies is concerned. We have a lot of movies that are coming out here in the very near term future, but Q1's not going to look as good as, Q2, Q3, and Q4. You do have Lightyear comes out in June. And then you do have Black Adam that comes out. That's going to be a good one. October 21st. But you do have a lot of other ones that are coming out as well. Let's go ahead and look here. I hate how it's not dated, but we did this on the live stream, and come join us on the live stream if you guys want to talk about this stuff more in depth. But lots of movies that are coming out in the June timeframe as well as in May. A couple Marvel movies as well as another Spider-Man movie, and that's going to all be key. But this first quarter, Q1, is going to be a little bit weaker, like Adam Aaron said on the earnings report. So just keep that in mind when we go to report this upcoming earnings, that it's not going to be as great as people expect. But the market's already pricing that in because that's what Adam Aaron told us. He literally said that it's not going to be as great, in Q1, but the rest of the quarters are going to be pretty good. Didn't get specific guidance on the actual numbers, but he basically gave us some level of guidance. Now watch this on the Fed Rate Monitor tool for May 4th. Watch this first to see if this percentage does continue to go up, and that would be indicating a 50 basis point rate hike, and this has actually continued to climb. Now it's at 43.9% probability. A quarter percent is at 56.1% probability. So it's actually went up today, but you did not see the markets react bearishly, probably because all of the buying that had to happen in the markets because that were being assigned today, but it was definitely the side. Now, on top of all of that, the technical analysis, and then we're going to wrap up this video. So we did close the day at about $15.71 per share, which is very, very bullish, above that $15 price, which is definitely a good sign. Above 15, as long as we stay above that, the next level is the 20-day simple moving average. That is at $16.30 per share. I don't think it's going to be too hard to break out above that, especially if we do get that bullish reaction next week, not even including a possible ceasefire or more talks of negotiations from Russia and Ukraine. That could pop out of nowhere, and that could be a very, very bullish thing. Even a ceasefire for a couple of days or a day will cause probably a 3% rally across the board. As far as the 50-day moving average, that is at $17.49. If we break out above all of that, we're clear to go into this supply zone in between $18.50 and $21 per share. If we can break above 21, that's where this thing gets really interesting, and I think you'll see a lot of the margin calls start to actually kick in. 100-day moving average, $25.49, and 200-day moving average way up here at $34.14 per share. This is a time game, and you guys gotta be patient with good old Amy. Now, as far as the RSI is concerned, we're still not even neutral yet, even after these days. up 6.78%, up 5%, down 0.25%, up 4%. We're still under 50 on the RSI, so we're not even, getting close to being in overbought territory. So that's looking good. Does tell us we do have some room to continue on this rally. The MACD is pretty much neutral. It just crossed above the blue signal line, so that would be technically heading to the bullish side, but can't draw any definitive conclusions about that right there, but it does look good. So that is pretty much going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys have not already. As well as that, get yourself those free stocks, links down below in the description, and stay tuned. Over this weekend we are going to be talking about the Russian default, what that is going to cause for the markets, and my longer term thesis on the markets, when I expect the markets to fall, when I think the MOS will happen, what's going to happen with the default around the world, global economy, all of that going to be very important. So stay tuned for that and be on the lookout for that one. If you guys want to come trade with us, link down below in the pinned comment. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.